Welcome, everybody, to the Honest Cut podcast. We're your host. I'm Scott Jones.
Jason Athe.
And we're super excited to be with you guys. This has kind of been a dream for many years. We're finally doing it. You excited?
I'm pumped. I couldn't be more pumped. Really excited to talk about GLP-1 medication and just all the things that people don't talk about, or they talk about and it's not exactly accurate. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too, man. It's I think what we're trying to accomplish with this is kind of cutting through the crap, and I think also just being vulnerable about this experience. There's a lot of misconceptions, I would say, about GLP-1 and about peptides and about sort of like non-traditional paths to good health and weight loss and muscle growth. And so I think we want to cut through kind of all of it and address all of it. And so we figured a podcast would be a really good format for getting that information out. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants to feel good. Everybody wants to be in that primal state, their prime, right? What does that mean? And you've been in your experience, you've been overweight, you've been super fit, you've been, at your prime. And I can say this because I know you, but you're probably in your prime now, like you're competing with guys much younger than you and in things, and it's got to feel good to be able to do that.
I think what I learned about the human body and about myself was we sort of like get to a certain age, I think, just people in general, and they sort of just like let it go. It's like, oh, I'm in my 30s now. And when you're in 30s, if dad bod kicks in, I'm just not going to look as good or feel as good or be as active as I was when I was younger. That's all bullcrap, man. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just not true. Yeah, you may have a little more kind of like aches and pains when you wake up in the morning. It may be a little bit more difficult to, lift heavy. Your joints and your knees and your cartilage and your body is different when you age, but that's just a tiny little part of the puzzle, honestly. So yeah, I am absolutely, I would say, a case study of what is possible for something like this for a guy that's 45 years old. And my body does not feel like it's 45 years old. I feel like I could compete with kind of whoever, whenever, however. And it's not because I've done anything, astronomically crazy, but I've been very consistent for a very long time. And that consistency in doing some pretty foundational basic things over time has gotten me to a place where I'm, probably, I would say 6 to 8% body fat. And that's not what I'm maybe maintaining year round, but 8 to 10 year round is doable. Having, visible abs, having, the kind of like, muscle structure and but also for me, mobility, and everything that I kind of want to be able to have to be able to do what I want to do, it's there. And I'm going to keep doing the same basic crap that I've been doing every day. And it's boring, but super effective.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I think, a good place to start, let's start with those foundational steps that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Give us kind of a day in the life of Scott Jones. What are you doing as a foundation to really keep it going?
I have a daily routine that I just don't break. There's no negotiation with me. You know that.
Yeah.
And so is it always waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Not necessarily. I do give myself a little bit of flexibility there, but usually it's around 5. And here's the thing, Jason, I don't think I'm ever 100% motivated to work out in there, ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I'm like, yeah, let's go, let's jump up. Like, I'm sick of this nice, warm, comfortable bed. I want to get out in the cold and feel terrible. No, I want to stay in my bed just like everybody else does.
Right.
But I don't. And I have to. I know you've done this trick before, and sometimes I do, like the countdown.
Oh yeah.
Like, the rocket ship, and 9876. You count down, and then before you get to zero, you have, like, whatever trick you need to be able to get out of bed, do it. I just freaking roll out of bed.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I get out of bed. For me, it's usually, and I know this isn't necessarily like, science backed, but I have a little bit of caffeine, have a little bit of something to drink. And for me, that actually, the way that my, intestines, run, and like, I'm usually running to the bathroom pretty regularly in the morning. And sort of that drink sort of induces my digestion.
Okay.
And so I start by going to the bathroom. And that just gets kind of like my stomach in a place where I'm ready to get going. And I think, like, well, I'll talk about my diet and my exercise, and we'll talk about GLP-1 and other things which, play a role in digestion. But that's the start of my day.
Okay.
Is getting a drink, getting my digestion going, and now I'm ready to go hit the gym. Next step is, for me, it's walking into my garage. For others, it's going to a gym. But I just have very kind of basic movements that I do every day to basically hit every major muscle group twice a week.
Okay.
So for me, on a Monday, and it's been this way for 5 years, that's why I can just tell you exactly what it is. Mondays are biceps and triceps,
Okay.
and usually some cardio. So that's either going to be a stair stepper or it's going to be a run. I'm not currently training for any kind of a race, so I'm not like doing marathon training or anything like that. And it's also really cold in Utah right now. So I'm usually doing the stair stepper for my cardio, 20 minutes or so. And sometimes I get bored, so I'll actually do 5-minute sets of stair stepper in between the muscle group,
Okay.
just to mix it up.
Yeah.
I know, again, is that like science backed? No. It does kind of like follow the principles of like a typical HIIT workout.
Yeah.
Where you're getting your heart rate up to maybe 130, 150-ish, and then bringing it back down for the next exercise. And that does, induce some fat burn, and also just, good healthy cardio. When I'm running, I'm usually cutting my weightlifting a little bit short because I just don't have time for long runs, which sometimes are a couple hours. So that's Monday for me. And then the next day, and then I alternate abs. So I'll do abs every other day. So on Tuesday, it's chest and legs and abs.
Got it.
And so I'll probably, do, and for me, I don't think it's necessarily like terribly important what you're doing for the muscle group. Just do something consistently and do something that you can grow over time. And for me, I'm a big believer in progressive overload, periodically pushing your muscles to max, either on weight or on reps, further and further every time. For me, I'm not in a place where I'm really trying to become, C-bum or anything like that. I'm just trying to stay fit. So I usually max on reps.
Okay.
Where some people would max on weight. So for example, let's just use bench. Everybody knows bench. Because I had a shoulder issue, and because I'm just old and I don't want to get injured, I'm usually maxing on 135. So 2 plates, or 1 plate on each side. And I'm pushing that right now about 30 to 35 reps. And so
It's awesome.
it's then, and that's my progressive overload. I started out at 15.
Yeah.
And so I've worked up slowly. So I don't know, what could I bet? How many times could I bench 225? I actually honestly don't know, maybe 10, 15 times. So that's progressive overload. So then I'll try to go, maybe 36 the next time, maybe 37 the next time. And that is what that's doing to my muscles, is it's continuing to tear the muscles enough that I'm maintaining the muscle mass and strength, and maybe growing it slowly.
Okay. So what we've got so far here, we've got the foundational principle. Step 1, get out of bed, right? Whatever time that is for you, get out of bed.
Yep.
Right. For you, it's get the intestines moving, get the body moving. For you, that's caffeine of some kind, or a drink of some kind, and then actually go do something, right? Get out in the gym. For you, that's the garage. And then there's a few principles that we've talked about here. Each muscle group twice a week, progressive overload to keep the muscles growing. Now, something important that I want to just bring up here is that even at 40 plus, you can still grow muscle. Would you agree with that?
100%. I know that the studies suggest that you lose a certain percentage of your muscle mass at every year of your age. But what I've found is as long as I'm maintaining weightlifting and activity, I'm maintaining, and honestly, I'm growing still.
Cool.
I don't know if that is legit with science, but I think it is. It's working for me. So yeah, yes, the answer is yes. You can grow muscle after 40.
Love it. The other key thing that I heard in there is just some variety, right? You don't have to do the same thing every day. It's the important thing is to do something, right? And then after that, keep it interesting for yourself. Keep going, you know?
Yeah.
And then eventually it takes care of itself. Earlier, you mentioned you've been doing this for 5 years. Most people, you know, they get on some sort of diet, right? And they're like, oh, I lost 20 pounds. And then 6 months later, they need to go on another diet because they put on 30, right? So how do you just stay in the mindset with all of these things? Because science backed when you eat, when you exercise, when you work out, especially progressive overload, you're going to be more hungry, right?
Sure.
So how do you maintain a healthy diet lifestyle, also doing all those other things that you're doing?
Good question. A lot of friends that I have that I've kind of talked to about my lifestyle and kind of my stack and my, what I do, say something along those same lines. Hey, when I start running a lot, I start eating more.
Yeah.
I start biking a lot, I start eating more. And that's pretty common, pretty natural to happen. I mean, your body burns more calories and it gets more hungry. I think we can have a whole discussion about diet and nutrition, but I'll answer just that question quickly. And then I think we should talk more about it in depth. But short answer is GLP-1. Magic answer is GLP-1.
Yeah.
Because it GLP-1 literally, takes that hunger pang out of my stomach. I don't feel it. I'm not hungry, and it's easy. If I weren't taking GLP-1, I'd be very particular about the macronutrients that I'm putting in my body, because that's going to determine how full you feel and how long that lasts. So, for example, even while I'm doing a GLP-1 protocol, I'm still very conscious of my macronutrients. Most of my calories are going to be from protein, and for me, it's going to be meat protein. I lean carnivore, but I'm not totally carnivore. And then carbs are going to be carbs that make me full fast, usually potatoes, usually some rice. And I try to stay away from other carbohydrates like bread and candy and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, short answer, if you don't want to get hungry all the time, you got to eat stuff that's going to make you full. And that for me, that's going to be protein and meat and kind of like a high starch carbohydrate like a potato.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that you've definitely got this thing figured out as far as how to hack your body. Of course, we'll talk in depth about GLP-1 medication, but I think the overarching theme here is that you don't have to quit building muscle. You don't have to quit, striving to be better, particularly in the one body that you have forever.
It's got to be sustainable. Like whatever it is that you're going to do in your life to change your life. And I know a lot of the people that are going to be watching this podcast, that's kind of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And you hit on this earlier. There are, innumerable diet programs out there that have come and gone, and there's the latest fad that, whatever is popular. I don't really care about that stuff. I pick parts of what's science backed, what's new, what other people are trying, and I sort of like carefully adapt the parts that make sense for me, and I leave all the rest of the fluff to someone else. 'Cause I just don't care. And so, for example, I found that carnivore and really not a lot of vegetables, some fruits and potatoes and rice is kind of my jam.
Mm.
And that works for me. And that allows me to stay in a calorie deficit when I need to maintain, a healthy body weight. And that's something I can do every single day of my life. And I don't get bored with it.
To me, and I really just took the advice and ran with it. Yeah, I mean, I can go through the medication if you want, but
That's perfect. I thought it was interesting that you said, I was doing everything that I felt like it was supposed to do, and it was diet that was kind of the last challenge.
right.
I think that's probably the case for 95% of the population.
Yeah.
I mean, how many guys or girls have you seen at the gym consistently every day, sometimes staying longer than you, and literally don't look any different day after day, month after month, year after year?
Yeah.
That's all diet, man.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's mainly diet, absolutely. I also think people just don't know, right? They know they should go to the gym, but they have no idea what they're doing in the gym.
Right.
Then they go home and abuelita made, pozole and you eat 15 bowls of it, like it's just part of it, it's part of just I think it's simply not knowing. You can have a great habit, but until you maximize that habit, you just don't know.
Yeah, that's
You know?
funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I after my mission after high school went and tried to play football for a little while at Weber State. And I remember at that time, to your point, I had no idea the science behind what I needed to do to get myself back into shape. I mean, it was just like the old stuff that you hear as you grow up. Like,
Right.
I mean, work out really hard, eat healthy.
Yeah.
But like, and I didn't know anything about macronutrients. I didn't know anything about like metabolism. I didn't know anything about insulin. I didn't know anything about, progressive overload. And I was at a college, like
Yeah.
with a strength and conditioning coach, and maybe they taught it. Maybe I wasn't listening. I don't know, but I wasn't doing it.
Right.
And like, I feel like I'm literally in better shape now than like 23-year-old me,
Right.
because I actually know what to do. That's the point.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think that's really, and yes, you're right. Knowing how to exercise, knowing what to do, knowing how to grow muscle is all really important. But you and I have had this conversation many times. All of that stuff is, if we're talking about like the pyramid, and we'll go into the pyramid during the course of this podcast. Not a pyramid scheme, just so you know. The biggest part of the pyramid is diet,
Right.
and it makes the biggest difference.
Right. And I would say, just to echo your point, like I can't portray enough that like a diet is not an apple for breakfast and a banana for lunch, and like you, one of the greatest joys in life is food. If I could spend all day every day at my Traeger and on my Blackstone, I totally would. Like some of my greatest joys in life, I'm surrounded by people that I love, making food or eating food or celebrating a Super Bowl. Like food is just the key piece that brings people together. The Bible always talks about breaking bread, and like it's one of the key factors to building quality relationships, and it should be treated like that. It should be held with that much respect and authority, and you do need to experience those joys. Your daughter's birthday, your son's birthday, you should have cake. You shouldn't not eat something that you want to eat. You just have to be aware of how much you can eat and comfortable with that decision.
Yeah. No, that's such a great point. Anything that's so restrictive in any aspect of your life, if you're restricting it, if you're restricting something that's so natural to your existence, you're eventually just gonna break down. It's like the strict parents.
Yep.
They're so strict with these kids. They don't let them do anything. Eventually the kids go freaking crazy.
Right.
And any diet that I've that I've attempted that's been like, no carbohydrates, 200 grams of protein or you're a failure. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a funny one. And we'll talk about this again, as we go throughout the course of this series. But I never eat the daily recommended protein. It's too much,
Yeah.
and that's what I had to learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, like diet is everything, but really understanding kind of the biology of metabolism and everything that's happening inside of your body, and understanding like, your personal relationship with food and keeping that healthy is so key to making this work long term.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you, I love food. I love good food, and I'm never gonna give that up. And again, GLP-1 is like a freaking cheat code.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that, but it has allowed me to continue to eat the things that I enjoy, but not as much.
Right. And I think the key there when talking about GLP-1 for somebody that's never done it before, it can be scary, right? You're talking an injection once a week, and that can be a little daunting. But what I've found with it is as long as you're putting in all that work, the good diet, the lifestyle, things like working out and progressive overload and all of those things, you're gonna see the results faster than you would any other way.
Yeah.
And I think that allows it to be sustainable. To your point, 5 years down this journey, 5 years down this road, like if you never saw results, if it was always ridiculously hard to put on muscle because you have to eat more, and then you've gained too much weight, so then you're cutting all of your diet again, like it's just not sustainable, and you're doing too much to your body hacking. Like, do enough to go where you want to go and leave it at that. You don't need 17 hours in the gym a day to put on muscle. You need 30 minutes to an hour, and that's plenty.
An effective 30 minutes to an hour. And yeah, I would say that, this winter for me, for whatever reason, just, being busy at work, being busy with family, other responsibilities, I don't usually get more than 30 minutes in.
Mm.
And it's plenty.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly what I need to work on. I know what I need to do to give the muscles the type of workout to maintain and to grow. That's it. And then I'm out. And I don't really obsess over it. I'm like, yeah, I did it. I'm done with it. I'm going to move on to something else. And that's another thing for me to make it sustainable. It can't be like your entire identity.
Yeah.
It can't be your whole life. People around me would say that I'm pretty obsessed with that. And I have an opinion about that. What may appear to other people that don't take their health seriously as obsessive, to me is very normal.
Great.
I hope some of you that are watching this that may look at this kind of lifestyle as an obsessive lifestyle will sort of change your paradigm around that and recognize, no, it actually is the necessary work to be done to have a really happy, healthy life.
Yeah.
So what you may think is obsessive right now is actually pretty normal, but our society has gotten so sedentary that they make it feel like it's obsessive, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Another quote I love to that point is that there's never hate coming from above you.
Yeah. Yeah.
People that, especially ones that are willing to share their opinion that you're crazy or you're obsessive, they generally don't look like you, and whether it's because they don't look like you because maybe they're morbidly obese or maybe they have, whatever the situation is, they want something generally that you have that they don't. And that relationship with yourself, I think my hypothesis is that that's what they're missing. They're not comfortable with themselves. And I think that's just important, as you start to look better, feel better, you're going to have a different swagger, a different confidence about you. And to some people, that's where the obsessive comments come from and all of those things. And, it's just definitely something you can brush off, but it's also like, you kind of feel bad for them, like if you just tried, if you just did, the little bit I'm doing to do this, you would have the same experience. And I think that's exciting.
No, great point. And I think an idea to close on and you're saying it right now. This is not impossible. This is not impossible.
Not at all.
You'll see some different content with us working out and Jason's shirt off and his muscles everywhere. But like, it's funny. Like, I think you and I used to aspire to a certain kind of physique, and we'd kind of talk about it almost like it was impossible.
Right.
Like, man, it'd be so cool to look like that, or like just being aspirational about, I guess you have to be a professional athlete to look that way.
Right.
I guess you got to be LeBron James and spend $1 million on your body every year. It's not true, man. You can look the way you want to look, and there are tools out there to do it. So anybody that's listening to this, that's really discouraged, like, I was 230 and some change, and I'll show you the pictures, man. And I'm not that guy anymore. But that guy, the guy I am, was deep down inside. I just had to find him.
Right.
And once I found him, it was done. Like, I was gonna become that, and I did become that, and I'm never going back.
Yeah. I love that point, and I couldn't agree more. That story I was telling you last week, where my dad actually told me when I was 14 years old that I'd never have abs, and
Athletes don't get abs.
yeah, so literally what he said. He's like, "Yeah, you're just genetically, it's just impossible. It's not gonna happen." And in my head, because I had never had abs before, that was just the reality I accepted.
Yeah.
And similar to you, I'm not the guy that was 230, and once I found it and once I committed to it, my entire life changed. Everything is better now, and I think that's the message of hope. Is you may be discouraged now, you may feel worthless now, you may feel like there's no way out for you, but there is. And once you connect with that version of yourself and commit to what you want to see, it'll happen. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing here.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you everybody for joining The Honest Cut. This was episode 1. We're really excited about many more episodes, many more conversations, getting in deep on all the topics that we talked about today, and then some. So make sure you continue to join and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.